This year in art, we will be using the Studio Habits of Mind to guide our practice. The Studio Habits of Mind are the 8 different skill sets that the arts teach. We will look at them one at a time, but an overview are developing craft, engaging and persisting, envision, express, observe, reflect, stretch and explore, and understand the art world. Developing craft is learning to use the tools and materials. Developing craft is learning new techniques, improving skills, maintaining the studio, creating a portfolio, and learning about studio practice. This is the doing part, when you're actually getting in there using the materials to create your ideas and make them come to life. Engaging and persisting. This is more about your attitude. It's committing to follow through, one of the more important things that you will learn in the arts. Engaging and persisting is learning to embrace problems, developing focus regardless of the task, seeing projects through to the end, and correcting or incorporating mistakes. In the words of Bob Ross, make it a happy accident. A lot of times, those mistakes, rather than throwing them away, try and think about a way that you could rework it, reassemble it, overlap it. And it can generally help you re envision your idea and maybe come across something that is even a better idea. Envision, planning beyond seeing and learning to mentally envision what cannot be directly observed. Imagine what the next steps would be. Envisioning is planning, generating ideas, sketching, designing, imagining, and picturing other solutions. We will be sketching in this class to start coming up with different ideas so that you can consider more than one. Generally, you may think your first idea is the best one, and you'll know that if you draw 3 more and then you come back to that first one. But generally, one idea can inspire a different version of it, and then that can build to create another one. And by the 4th idea, you may come up with something that's far more complex and successful than the initial idea. Next, we have express. This is the bringing the you into the artwork. So finding personal visions and learning to convey an idea, feeling, or personal meaning. Expressing is conveying a feeling or mood, telling a story, giving an opinion, or commenting on an issue. This is really where the things that move you, that you feel passionate about, that you're frustrated by, angry about, or you want to take action on, this is where you can take that material and put it on the canvas or in your visual art to convey it and create a piece that expresses those feelings, ideas, or attitudes that you have so they can be shared with others. Observe. So, observe is seeing beyond the ordinary and learning to look at things more closely. Observing is looking closely, comparing and contrasting, noticing details. This happens both inside and outside of your practice. A lot of times, observing is when you look around you and you see things that interest you, inspire you, or intrigue you. But it can also happen within your work when you're working on a piece, when you're observing different reactions between 2 different materials, like how do they complement each other? How can they push your idea to be stronger than what you initially conceived of? So observation happens both within your art and also outside of your art to inform your practice. Reflecting, thinking metacognitively, that is basically having a conversation in your head about the way that you're thinking and practicing. Thinking and talking with others about your work and evaluating your own work as well as the work of others. Reflecting is critique, asking questions, explaining, asking what if questions. This is really an important part of growing your practice, is thinking about what was your initial idea? Did it come out the way that you wanted it to? How could you approach it in a different way? And by reflecting on your process and then also looking at the work of others, you can start building your practice to get your ideas exactly where you would like to be them to be, or as close as you can get them in the artwork. So reflecting is really important because it makes you more conscious of your practice and your ideas. Stretching and exploring is learning to go beyond the familiar or obvious and reach beyond what you think is possible, learning to playfully explore and embrace mistakes along the way. Stretching and exploring is experimenting, trying new things, trial and error, working outside of your comfort zone, embracing new possibilities, and seeing what would happen if. To the left, you see a picture, and that's Jackson Pollock. Initially, he was a more figurative painter, and one day when he was painting, the paint dripped off of the edge of his brush, and it made an interesting line. Once he observed that line, he decided that it was more interesting than what he felt he was doing on the canvas. And then he decided to explore that. What would one line on top of another line look like? What would a thicker line look like? What would the paint look like if it was closer to the canvas versus further away? So, through that experimenting and trying new things, he came up with a whole different body of work than what he was initially starting with. So stretching and exploring is really playful, fun part of your practice, because you have to give yourself permission to try those new things and do have trial and error, because that's going to inform your understanding of materials as well as the combinations of materials and what would be if the most effective way to communicate your ideas. Understanding the art world. So, this is learning about art history and how to interact as an artist with other artists and communities. Understanding the art world is learning about art history, learning about contemporary art, working with other artists, sharing ideas and resources, learning about and going to museums and galleries. So, because we are in this remote learning situation, we will be visiting digital galleries, and there are a lot of great ones out there, and it gives you the opportunity to sort of navigate within those spaces and get a feeling for the different works of art that are in each gallery. Um, and then we will be looking at artwork every week. We'll be starting each day with an art image, just to give you a lot of exposure, because understanding the art world is really about exposure and seeing what other artists have done, what artists are doing right now, what's going on in the world, and how are artists responding to it and demonstrating that in their practice. So we will be looking to see what other people have done, especially with contemporary art, since that is most relevant to now. So I'm looking forward to a really great year where we look at art, we make art, we think about art, and contemplate our practice, and embrace those happy accidents as a way to inform new choices and a playfulness and experimentation. So I'm looking forward to this year, and we will be playing with these studio habits of mind.